Good afternoon, people. This is Martin again, coming to you from Compost at the URC. And today we are welcoming our guest, Eric Jones. He's a very talented, renowned artist from the city of Flint. And we're just here to kind of chop it up a little bit, discuss him, maybe promote him, and let's find out what makes him tick, what inspires him, and what he's trying to convey through his artwork. Mr. Jones.
What up, Martin?
How you been?
Been all right.
That's
Hanging
cool.
in there.
That's cool. So I'm looking at your spread down here, you know your black heroes and everything, and it's intriguing because they're definitely black superheroes. They don't have the dimensions that you would see in a typical Marvel or DC comic. Now by that I mean they look ethnocentric.
You know, Byron, the ones like, Marvel, and they don't represent us the right way. For one thing, you got, like we was talking a while back, Black Panther, we had when the movie came out, a lot of black folk going around dressing up in African garbs and,
That was humorous.
Yeah. Dancing and playing bongos in the theaters and all kind of stuff.
Wow.
And don't even understand that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who are not of our group, and they the ones created that, and the money going to them. And so I consider myself, who will probably be the first black creator, specifically you don't have black women superheroes. Definitely. Storm is a part of a group.
Yeah.
The X-Men, and who else they got? I can't think of nobody else but Storm. They made a Captain Marvel black, but he was originally a white guy, and then a white woman, then a white black man, and then a black woman. So they didn't transition him or her or whatever you want to call it several times about how many people that are black authors and writers that come up with their own. Spawn, Todd McFarlane from Canada.
Well, there are a few black comics that are out, but they are so marginally on the fringe that most people have never heard of them. But there are a couple of black, I just joined a few groups in the last couple of weeks on Facebook about the black comics. Mm-hmm. But their characters are largely based on Egyptian stuff.
Yeah.
And they're almost insistent on pigeonholing themselves into that category. So, I also joined a group that's called Futuristic Black Artists, and most of their stuff is digitally created. Mm-hmm. So it looks like, I don't know if you can remember back in the old days how Iron Man used to look compared to what he looks like now.
Like a pot, had what you want to call it, a tea kettle, coffee pot head, and some spandex.
Very, very basic.
Basic,
compared to what he looks like now.
Yeah.
And so these people have taken black art to that same level. So they've made it futuristic and it's digital, but I'm not sure how much it connects to modern black culture. I haven't had the opportunity to really delve into what they're doing, mm-hmm. but I see what they're trying to do. So it's been my intent to support them and mm-hmm. to perhaps expose them, because most of our art, even black art, is still Eurocentric in nature. There's no black mindsets, if you can call it a mindset, because we are not a monolithic group. Yeah. You get 10 black men into a room and you start discussing things, you're going to get 10 different opinions. Because we're individuals. Now, there are commonalities, but we're individuals.
I'll give you, I think the story behind these characters, two of the main characters in this Infinite Wisdom comic book that I created. I got it written, and I just got to do the drawing. Illustrated, and I'm trying to decide if I want to go digital or just do it the traditional way, which I can pretty much do both.
What is it based on?
This is based on, it's a supernatural type of, it's something that's never been heard of.
Kind of mystical like?
Huh?
Kind of mystical.
Mystical, kind of, but I'll give you a simple basis. It's going to be controversial. It's about a man who learned the knowledge and the secret and the origins of the creation, the creator, God. And what he does is he learned the secret from 12 high priests who passed this knowledge of God down from son to son since the beginning of time, since man had been created. Then, so this guy gets that knowledge from these 12 high priests and learn how to manipulate and splice atoms with his mind and started eradicating time, first starting where he got the knowledge from. So what he does is stop time in certain areas, trying to engulf the whole earth to where he eventually kills God and everything God creates.
Wow. That's
Y'all probably gonna edit that out. Oh,
that's interesting. Well, I mean, if you look at Marvel Comics,
different?
Marvel Comics in the 80s, there was a character called the Beyonder. Did you ever hear of him?
Mm-mm.
Well, the Beyonder was all, but he was only all in his universe. And then there was a Marvel. You ever hear of a guy called Owen Reese, the Molecule Man?
Mm-mm.
He did an experiment with molecular structures, and he opened a portal molecularly into a different universe, and in doing so, he disturbed the Beyonder. Now the Beyonder thought he was all. In his own realm, he was all.
Okay.
Now he discovers there's an adjacent realm that he's never seen before, in which he is nothing. So he comes into our universe and he just wreaks havoc because he's got all power.
Okay.
He's godlike.
Okay.
He can just think something into existence and it exists.
And it exists.
Because he had complete control of molecules, atoms, and everything else, but only in his realm.
In his
and
realm.
for him to do it in our realm, it was destructive.
That's interesting.
So that's kind of close to what you're saying there, but his was more of a morbid curiosity as opposed to being a destructive force, like you're saying there.
I think the guy that does this kind of act has some tragedy that's happened in his life, and he was in the Catholic religion, and so he just gets, and he was very smart, studied physics and all kind of stuff, and learned how to manipulate atoms and this, that, and the other. So the last one he wanted to do is, I want to just get back at the creator. But he won't be able to get at I already pretty much got it, written how the outcome is going to be.
Well, you should. I mean,
And yeah.
I've written books myself, and about midway through the books, I know what the outcome is going to be already.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I'm winging it when I first began to write, and as these concepts come into focus, it takes me in a direction. So now I just got to get to my destination now because I know how I want to end it now.
Want to end it.
So I mean, it's up to you to make that journey that you want to do, an intriguing journey.
Yeah, and introduce you to these characters. That's Falcon Woman and Sizzler. Now they play a intricate role in this this story. Sizzler is considered the sun goddess,
Okay.
and every so often, 50,000 years, 30,000 years, or whenever, a blue and a red star appears. A certain blue and red star that appears close together, it signifies that something has to be brought into order, and it's a particular woman, African American woman lineage, who carries since a long beginning of times, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years ago. Nobody has no exact origin, but this entity, the sun goddess entity, lies dormant in this lineage of this woman that passes down from daughter to daughter to daughter. It's always dormant until whenever that blue and red star appears. Then that entity comes out of its dormancy, whichever girl that is born at that time, to bring justice back to the to the world, to the universe.
Basically restoring order.
Restoring order, yes. Every sun goddess, and they display. They all have solar power, but they display it differently.
Okay.
So this one here, she's only in the presence of the sun.
Now, I must forewarn you though. I think there's already a character by that name in the Marvel Universe. You checked? Okay.
My sister, Dazzler.
Dazzler,
You're
you're right, Dazzler. Okay, there you go. I knew it was something similar to that. Okay, I knew it was something.
Dazzler.
Okay.
She was a mutant, part of the X-Men.
Yeah. Okay.
She used like sound and then blah, do some goofy stuff. But
my bad. He's more up on it than I am. But I knew that name sounded vaguely familiar though.
Yeah, Dazzler. Okay. Yeah, disco.
That's funny.
Young lady walking around in roller skates. But
so, you are basically combining the metaphysical with the mystical, with the religious. You're taking all three of those realms and you kind of conflate them all together. And that's an interesting road to travel.
Martin, it's different. She illuminates fire in the presence only in the sun, but if she touches you while she's mad or whatever, she can electrocute you, depending on her, how she feeling. She's sad or mad or however, and she touches you, she can electrocute you.
Okay, so I got a question though. Was there a reason that you made your characters female?
One thing, we don't have black superhero women. I mean, Storm is don't have her own book. How many? I mean, you like we was talking a little earlier. We were saying you have some, but we have to get out of the pigeonhole, marginalized type of thing. And like you said, we are right. I mean, we seen how Black Panther played out. So a lot of people kind of pigeonhole themselves into a specific. Well, it's got to be about Egypt. It's got to be about Africa. It's got to be. I'm gonna try to break out of that enclave, but they have some rich, like Falcon Woman's story, because she has her own comic book. She's the only one in Infinite Wisdom in the story that survives, and but the man is that I haven't drew him up yet. One of the main characters, a guy who has the coat of many colors, and he has to use the spear of destiny to attack and kill this guy that has this mindset to want to wipe out God and the earth, the universe, or whatever. So he has to use that spear that Christ was pierced on the side with to kill him. But he wears shades, something like the ones I got on.
I was going to ask you about that, but I said it ain't none of my business because everybody seems to like to have shades on in the podcast nowadays. But okay, I hear what you're saying. So this is the origin and the mastermind behind your art, your black comic books and everything. What other kind of mediums are you interested in though, besides just the comic books and everything?
Oil pastels, soft pastels, color pencils. What you see though?
Yeah, I see that print right there. So that means you're pretty good at
that's charcoal.
At portraits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you got a pretty firm grasp on proportions, on balance, because a lot of people that I see who draw art are simply talented, but they're not knowledgeable. And I think artists have to be knowledgeable of a lot of disciplines in order to really make what I would consider to be, say, sound art. Because when I first started painting, way back when I was in like high school, my works were all flat, and I didn't know why. And my teacher was like, "Oh, you don't understand shadows and light direction yet." And I was like, "Shadows and light direction." I had everything looking like you just took a Polaroid and snapped it from right in front. So there was all the shadows were always on both sides equally, and it looked like it just looked flat. So he would tell me, pick a direction that your light's coming from. Illuminate this part, shade this part. And it didn't make any sense to me because I still didn't catch on until maybe decades later when I'm going to mock. And here comes that term, light direction. I'm like, that's what Mr. Hendricks was telling me about, light direction. So light direction defines dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
It determines depth
Mm-hmm.
and distance,
Mm-hmm.
all from light direction.
All from light direction.
And I never even knew that. That's what all my pictures lacked.
You know, Al used to tell, Al, remember I mentioned him a while back, a guy named Al Foster, one great artist around here in Michigan. And Al say, one thing about art, you got to have a subject and you have to have composition.
Mm-hmm.
And tone never lies, but color always lies. Tone never lies.
Wow.
Your tone gonna stay consistent. Your tone is what changes your colors.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, have you studied color theory at all? Though?
Yep.
See, most people that I know who can paint don't know beans about color theory, so their pictures are always off balance, and they don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you got too many of one color in a composition. And if you had it in a monochromatic thing, that'd be fine. But yours is not monochromatic. It's just have one color that's dominating where it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And because you do that, your picture is out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the common observer be like, man, that picture is dope.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about you, but when I draw, when I paint, anything I do with art critics in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know they're ultimately going to be the ones who are going to look at it with a scrutinizing eye.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you're a skilled artist, you can make a skilled artist can make the public see whatever they want to see,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad, right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a sound artist,
Mm-hmm.
you can convey a lot more feeling and evoke a lot more emotions with your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get the well-roundedness of your education comes in.
Yep.
Because I mean, when I do a sculpture, which is my favorite medium, I know how to raise an eyebrow on a sculpture to invoke thought.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this thing is kind of he's in thought. He ain't just a statue that's been stilled and then replicated. And so we had a project when I was in sculpting called Static and Motion.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to take two figurines, one static and one in motion, and combine them into a piece.
Mm.
And it made sense after I got done with it, what she was trying to get us to understand. You can take a figurine and move one small part of it and you see motion. Put it back and you see stagnation. And I was like, wow. So when you look at a lot of the Renaissance artists, because that was the first period in time when they started making art actually replicating life in center. Because you look at the old Egyptian arts, and they were always stiffly posed,
Mm-hmm.
and they never conveyed anything more than power.
Mm-hmm.
That was their intent, to convey power.
Convey the power.
So when you start looking at the Greeks and the Romans,
Mm-hmm.
and they began conveying motion.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you got realistic looking art. And from that point on, art was transformed to replicate life as opposed to symbolizing power.
Yeah, yeah. With I remember studying a class we had talking about the difference. We went from the Egyptian, it was art history, and you go down. Then you got the Baroque, the Italian period, the Baroque period, which I think Rembrandt was a part of the Baroque period. Then you had Benjamin West. You had all of the people where you seen the evolution, or when you had different mediums coming into play. You had printmaking coming into play, and you had all of this stuff coming into play. But Rembrandt would be probably the best, I would consider, contrast artist, because some of his portraits look like they're in a spotlight. If you look at his darks, his utilization of darks and lights. If Frank Miller in the day's comic books, I say, well, if Rembrandt was alive today, Frank Miller's like the Rembrandt of comic books, because of his strong shadows and lights coming out of shadow and this.
And for you amateurs, he's referring to a technique called chiaroscuro. That's what it's professionally called, chiaroscuro, in which you take light and dark and you contrast it, and you appear to be pulling an image out of the shadows. And that's a French word, and it basically means from dark to light, kill
From
score.
dark.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when you become talented, an artist, you can take a black page, totally blank black page, and slowly pull an image from it
From it.
by just using lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter overtones until you got an image that appears to be almost like peering through a window pane. And the talented artists understand that, though. See that when I look at that Prince right there you got over there? That's a classic example of it, with that really dark backdrop on it,
Yeah.
and the way his hand has a highlight on both sides of it. That makes me think the light is behind him. But it's not enough light to illuminate the actual black background. That's kill score in its
Kill score.
in its classically applications. A lot of people don't understand that, but then, once again, when you're a skilled artist, you can pull emotion, you can pull all kind of crazy discussions from your piece of work, and that's usually what an artist wants to do. Is he wants to invoke feelings. I love when I make a piece and I stand back and listen to people trying to explain it, because it's never what I intended. And I said, well, it's open to interpretation. That's what art is, though.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation.
And in reality, it's not.
It's whatever the artist, mainly the author, is really saying.
Usually the author has one intent, and because people are not thinking as in-depth as he is, they draw their own conclusions.
They draw their own conclusion. But you know, with abstract, I think, I never really understood abstract, but that's not saying that it's, I know you have synthetic cubism and what's the other one is synthetic, and Picasso came up with those terms with the abstract, but I guess he understood it and was very successful with it, but I could never really understand what a person is saying unless they explain it, and I can be like, oh, okay, I guess I see.
Well, abstract is usually very, very emotional.
Very emotional.
And like I was telling one of the guys on the former cop podcast we did this morning, abstract is meant to be visceral.
Visceral.
Yes. Abstract is meant for you to interpret it any way you will.
The way you want, okay.
But by the same token, abstract is never as random as it seems. They did tests with abstract artists and chimpanzees and elephants. Now, chimpanzees and elephants lack the frontal lobe like we have in their brains, so they don't organize things the way we do.
The way, okay.
So when they paint on canvas, it looks abstract. But 99% of the time, even the most casual observer can tell an abstract artist from chimpanzees and elephants.
Okay.
There is structure to art in the abstract realm that you don't see until it's pointed out to you.
So it's pointed out.
Because I did some abstract myself with a palette knife. And what you learn about abstract is strokes. It's not as random as you think it is. So you take, and the way I did it was I took a picture that I had painted. It's oil paint, so it's, it's easily altered because it's still wet. And then I took that my palette knife and I pulled it with this color that way.
Okay.
With this color that way.
The opposite.
And I kept doing it until the image disappeared.
Okay.
Now, you could still see the image if you looked for it. But I had enough colors and enough spaces and shapes and everything that the casual observer was like, what the hell is that? So abstraction has a purpose and it has a technique, but it's usually kind of reserved in the mind of the creator who did it. And it's never as random as it is. A good example is Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, Jackson Pollock.
He does all that, what look like splashes and everything.
Yeah.
But see, if you really looked at what he did with his paintings, certain colors are splashed this way.
Okay.
Certain colors are dropped.
Okay.
Certain colors are blown this way. And it's a hodgepodge of all these different colors. But there are discernible patterns if you know what to look for. So abstraction is never as abstract
As we think it
as
is.
we think it is.
Okay.
It's all about This is an angry stroke. This is a sad stroke. This is a joyful stroke. And all together, it's a hodgepodge. But because my late brother-in-law did an abstract painting called Hell, and you could literally see the anguish in that painting. But he used colors to convey anguish. So he had all these cool, almost liquid black colors.
And this, you said this is what your brother-in-law did?
Yes, and then he took the reds and the yellow, and they looked angry. And he just kind of dotted them on, but you could see the torment in his colors.
That song, speaking of hell, always is a song. You remember that song by the Eagles?
Hotel California.
Hotel California, man. That's when you talking about how the colors convey you could see certain emotions and
Yes.
but a lot of people, and sometimes, as you were saying, it's not, people can interpret it how they want to interpret. It's just like I was on the internet and I was on YouTube listening to people try to break down Hotel California. I'm like, everybody had their different interpretation. Then you had people talking about, well, maybe they are part of the Illuminati. That's why they came up with that song. Oh, it's really, but it is a macabre sounding song, but it's got that melody.
It's got melancholy.
It's got that,
melancholy feel to it.
Yeah, it got that melody. Yeah, like you were saying, it's got that feel to it. And you just, man, people, it was one of their biggest hits.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the Jacksons' Heartbreak Hotel.
Heartbreak Hotel.
That too has there's a violin that is pervasive in the whole song that's sad. And you don't hear that violin until the song is fading out toward the end, and then the violin is highlighted. But it's going through the whole song.
Yeah, the beginning of it, is it that?
Yeah, but that's through the whole song. But you don't hear it because it ain't highlighted until the end of the song.
To the end of it.
So just like they can do that with music, you can do the same thing
with art.
With art, if you know, because pink, peach, beige, these are calming colors.
Calming colors.
That's why you would never see a sanitarium when we had them back in the day, painted in red. They always had them painted in peach and pink. They're calming colors. People who are already in straitjackets don't need to be further provoked.
Nope. That's why they say, like you're right, Martin, color has a mood. It changes your mood. I mean, just like the weather does. I mean, but when you see cloudy days, people feel a little bit depressed. They said if you go to Seattle, Washington,
it rains
real nice, huh?
It rains a lot there.
Yeah, and it rains a lot, so people's more depressed there, they say, because it's rainy and gloomy. But but just like with the art, with certain arts and stuff, it can strike. I got this one that I did of Martin Luther King. You ever seen that one?
I don't think I did.
I did a drawing, man, of Martin Luther King, and he got a gun to his own head. And then on the outside I did, because I did that in that Conte crayon, but then on the outskirts of it, it had different, it went through a history, through the Jim Crow era, then through down to modern times, because I did that drawing in 2012. So the actual outside boxes on the part that he's looking at with the gun to his head, and I use drew actual pictures from young brothers who had lost their lives from the hands of other brothers. And I got I drew, and I even wrote down what year he passed away and gun violence and this,
so what is this piece called?
It's called Killing the Dream.
Okay.
Because, Martin Luther King, and you had civil rights leaders and
That was his catchphrase, I have a dream. Right.
I have a dream, and he didn't, I don't think he would be too happy with how things had
Well, I'll tell
going
you,
with us.
if Martin Luther King had been allowed to live,
he would have went to Canada.
things would be different right now.
You think so?
Because Martin Luther King was one of those generational influencers.
Yeah.
And see, not only did he influence black people, he influenced white people. That's why they had to kill him, because it wasn't because of how magnetic a speaker he was, because he was a hell of an orator.
Yeah.
It was because as long as he had nothing but black people following him, that's easily controlled.
Yeah. But,
Another dead nigga, so what? But see, when he started affecting white people's emotions, they was like, we got an issue now, because that's cutting close to home now. We have to start monitoring this dude, and we have to make sure he doesn't get too much
power.
Just like Tupac.
Yeah.
Pac was starting to grow a power base that they would consider to be out of control. Pac was talking about in an interview that he didn't know what kind of a authority he yielded until he'd be coming out of concerts and people are asking him, Pac, what you want us to do next, Pac? Whatever you want us to do, Pac, we gonna do because you that dude. And Pac was like, I'm a freaking rapper, man. I'm not a civil rights advocate. But he started understanding the power of his music. And when he understood that, he became responsible. And then his music changed. And so the powers to be was like, okay, we thought he was going to be a gangster rapper, and he was, but he is becoming conscious.
He was he was becoming a conscious rapper.
He's beginning to evoke common sense conversations.
Yep.
And he had
thought-provoking conversations.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you start evoking that kind of a conversation among common people, they start looking to their leaders like, this guy can see that, why can't you see it? So now they're going to start demanding change. And they couldn't have that. So Pac, they put he and Biggie
against each other.
Purposefully. Because Biggie represented the street element still. Pac used to, but he no longer really wallows in that mire anymore. So we have to have an opposing force.
Yeah.
The same way they put Malcolm and and Martin together. They was like, this is by any means necessary. This is turn the other cheek.
Dream. Yeah, turn the other cheek.
So they were opposing figures, and when they started coming together in agreement with certain things, they were both existential threats to the power structure. So they both got eliminated.
Oh yeah.
Because if you had Malcolm without Martin, ain't nobody here to calm the crowd when they start the rioting, because they thinking that Malcolm gonna be some rioting. And if you had Martin without Malcolm, white people were beginning to embrace him. So his power base would shift.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have that because Malcolm X kept white people at bay. They like, this guy is nuts, and we ain't finna follow him. So you had to take both those elements out because one in and of itself was too dangerous. Yeah. They kind of complemented each other. And I look at that the same way I look at art, though.
Yeah.
When I look at art, you can't have too much of an extreme of one thing.
No, you gotta have a balance.
It's gotta be balanced.
Everything is a balance.
So my guest last night was telling me that I had her thinking about stuff, and she was gonna, because we were talking about unicorns and rainbows, and I was like, I really have never felt that kind of stuff. So people were painting that stuff when I was at Mott.
Unicorns and rainbows.
Asking me why I never painted anything that was cheerful, and I'm like, but that's just not what I think about right now. I'm here in America, and unicorns ain't high on my lexicon right now. So I don't really want to paint that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one thing, with your art, like one thing Al would say, he said, if you, because this right here, I use several photos to come up with this image of Sizzler. And what I did is I had my ex do her hand like that, because the original model had her hands like this. And I said, I need you to hold your hands like this. And so my ex, she did it, and then I created her outfit, and then I said, I had to go and look at some fire, and I just went online and found some fire. Went to the motorcycle shop at Mount Morris, and I just placed a motorcycle there. Then this whole beach is somewhere from the internet, and I just kind of collaged everything. I guess one young lady say, because she was looking at the Venus flytrap drawing, She said, I like the way you drew that. When I went to Indiana the other day to go pick up some paper, she was the one that was working there. She said, I would call that controlled abstract. Controlled abstract. I said, that ring a bell. Controlled abstract.
That's funny because abstract is controlled.
Yeah, it is.
It's not
But
random like
it's
everybody
not
thinks
like
it is.
like you were saying, it is controlled. But she came up, but I don't know what made her. I said, well, the only thing I did was just collage some Venus flytrap that I found on the thing. Yeah, it looks more like a controlled abstract. But like you were saying, it is a controlled substance. But hey, that's a good term anyway. But it was funny. But when you're doing Al say always. He said it's like when you cook it.
Mm-hmm.
Take the photo away, and then see what you need strong. Okay, I need add more salt in here. Maybe take out some pepper here, or just make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you when you cook and you gonna make it suit your taste buds, where like yes, this is it.
This is true. I know when I compose art,
Mm-hmm.
I may draw from an inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
but I very seldom do I take from other artists. I just never have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because I mean, if you're inspired by that form or inspired by that style,
Mm-hmm.
knock yourself out, because you can't patent art.
Mm-mm.
That's like trying to patent a thought. You can't
Yeah,
patent
you
a thought.
can't patent a thought.
But so I draw from different inspirations, but I lean on how that inspiration inspires me personally,
Yeah.
and then I interpret it accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm so leery nowadays. We had a 2-week copyright class in photography.
2-week copyright class.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks for that copyright lesson.
When it was this, you did this recently?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they were really emphasizing how easily you can be sued
Mm.
for taking someone else's images or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's people with the advent of Photoshop
Mm-hmm.
will take your picture and alter it, and all you have to do is change it 10%.
10%.
And it's now yours.
Not yours. Yep.
So I'm kind of leery of that, but I will still oppose every now and again, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm leery about piecemealing other people's styles together,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always aware of the liability.
Of the liability.
Because the one pervasive element in our art today, or in our culture today, is money.
Money. Mm-hmm.
Money controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
It inspires everything.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is always trying to figure out how to get money from people.
Oh yeah.
Artists are no different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always kind of cognizant of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, you can't patent art,
You
because
can't patent because it's a creative.
it's
thing.
interpretive,
It's like you say. Yeah.
and it's also cyclical.
Let me ask you: would you consider what you think about that AI stuff they talk about? Do you think that'll never replace traditional?
In some regards, it already has.
You think so?
Yeah, I follow this model on Instagram, and it took me a minute to realize that everything on there is AI.
Everything on Instagram.
Everything on her.
On her.
They've taken pictures
Mm-hmm.
from several people, and they put it on this one model,
Okay.
and they change her skin tone sometime. They change her hairstyle, her hair length, and it took me a minute to realize this is the same picture,
Mm.
but it's been converted through AI.
Through the AI.
Because I was like, I've never seen such a perfect human being in my life.
Mm.
She's completely flawless. And then it occurred to me, well, it's AI. So you can program perfect proportion into AI.
Mm.
And I was like, man, I've never seen a woman so pretty in all my life.
Yeah, it's scary. That's but I don't think they will be. Do they hang AI? What is it like painting? Do AI do paintings? Or just pictures?
I think that's coming. Because there is a Japanese, I don't want to call it an app or whatever, but it's a technology,
Mm-hmm.
and it's replacing billboards.
Really?
They take and program scaffolding and everything, and they program these big, basically paint guns
Mm-hmm.
with software, and it scans up and down buildings, and it creates perfect replicas of photographs.
Mm.
I'm talking 6 and 7 stories tall. You know how hard that would be to paint that kind of a mural with accuracy like that?
Yeah.
And it's being done with the machine. That's a step away from AI.
So what they do is they put that on billboards. You say they
It's on buildings, not
on
billboards.
buildings.
They've painted whole buildings with machines that are programmed
through the AI.
through the AI.
Wow.
And when I looked at it, I was like, who can compete with that? It's a perfect, absolute replica.
Huh.
And it's stories and stories tall. I mean, the color, everything is spot on.
Mm.
And I'm like, who can compete with that? Nobody I knew. We saw that when I was in graphic arts illustration class.
Now, they what was this done at the building? Where was this?
It was in Japan.
In Japan.
Yeah, some buildings in Japan, but it was. They said it's coming soon to a building near you because it's so accurate. And I mean, it was like, holy crap!
Mm-hmm.
Who painted that? They said a machine painted that.
A machine.
Because I'm thinking, how do you get
that accurate
on that scale?
on that scale? Yeah.
It's not a machine. It's replacing mural artists in Japan, and I was like, you can't compete with that. So AI is definitely it's on the horizon, and I don't see any way to stem that tide because it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you just are nostalgic and you want something hand rendered,
Mm-hmm.
there is no way you can compete with the computer artistically.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the only flaws in an AI programming are the flaws that are programmed in it by the programmer.
Mm-hmm. So that means a lot of what I mean they saying the AI going to really pretty much, if they get a mind of their own, they're gonna be attacking us. We're gonna be obsolete.
Well, that's the movies, and they have nanotechnologies, but they're all working on the same thing: algorithms.
Algorithms. Yeah.
So until you can get an algorithm to replicate the brain itself, that ain't really a reality.
Yeah.
And it's been said that to replicate the actions of the brain, it would take a building about the size of the Empire State Building to house that kind of knowledge.
Mm.
Because we only using between 3 and 10% of our brain.
Yeah, 3.
So there's so much more that your brain is capable of that we're not even aware of yet.
Yeah, if we can just crack that code,
Well, see,
we could be much more.
that's the
than
whole
what we are.
premise behind many of your Buddhists
Mm-hmm.
and their meditation.
Mm-hmm.
They are trying to open up other parts of their brain
Yeah,
through consciousness, though.
through conscious and not unconscious, through the conscious.
So you can do it on purposely. Because there was this Buddhist monk, and he achieved it. It's called nothingness.
Mm.
He stared at a tan-colored brick wall for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he did, day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And he stared at it until in his mind, he became that wall.
Became the wall.
He completely erased all elements of his brain's thought processes, concentrating on the wall. 11 years of concentration, and in his mind, he became that wall.
He became the wall.
That's how
Wow.
tuned he was to that wall. And it's called achieving nothingness.
Mm.
And that's the actual goal of every Buddhist,
Mm-hmm.
to become one with your environment,
Yeah, come one.
thus
with the
becoming
environment.
nothing.
Nothing.
And I'm like, that's some pretty profound stuff. And it sounds insane on the surface. Like, why would you want to be nothing? And it's not that you don't want to be nothing. You want to be one with the environment.
One with the environment.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
want to
what
remove your own consciousness out of it and put the environment
and
and become one with it.
become.
That's why Buddhism is such a scary prospect to Christians. Because you're removing all consciousness.
Yeah, that's deep.
But that took 11 years, but it's one got to do. And I haven't heard nobody replicate that since. So that's a pretty lofty aspiration in my mind.
Yeah, that's different. That's different.
Now, how could AI replicate that?
I don't think it can.
It couldn't. Exactly.
I don't think it can.
But on the other hand, though, I think that in the probably very near future, that unless you are nostalgic for hand renderings, because they've already shown where AI can replicate all the masterpieces.
Hmm. But you know, I think I was listening to this guy talk about the AI. He said it won't be the. He said it's because this was a guy that when I was looking at, I think he does abstract. This guy sold his paint for $62 million, and he's from Dubai.
He should be so lucky.
Huh? And I'm looking at that stuff, Martin. And you know, I shared it on my Facebook page. I think you might have seen it.
I did.
And all he did was just threw paint everywhere. And people on my Facebook page were like laughing at it, like, what the hell? And they was just like, what is it? And this guy talking about he got 190 some people in line to buy his, and he draws these large paint or whatever he does. I'm like, everybody like, what is he doing? And who would want to pay for something like that? You know, I like you say, eye is in the beholder. I guess these people see something in what he does worth something. But he talked about the AI thing. He said it will only go so far as with the traditional, what me and you do. You doing your sculptures, you paint, do what I do. And he said because people still want the human touch.
They do.
They want something,
But
traditional.
That's our generation, though. Mm-hmm. The generation that's coming up nowadays doesn't give two, fat rat's asses about that kind of stuff. Mm. So it's remotely possible, or it's distinctly possible that in the next 20 years, this nostalgia is like gone.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part, though, Martin. The fact of the matter of it is that when he was saying that AI was only going to go so far because people still want the traditional, the traditional art, and he's saying people still is willing to pay for the humanism into the art.
I do get that,
and I think everybody, like with the AI thing, is just something that randomly, because I think you can like you were saying, it mixes everything in something, then comes up with a concept, and it takes no effort.
No effort at all.
So it's just like when I took photography. A lot of people talking about photography, and then we talking about digital photography, digital this. And people was like, well, photography really is not an art. And I think it was when it first came out, but I think now you got everybody. It seems like if you got an AI program, all people got to do is push several buttons. You ain't got to be no artist.
Yeah, but even with that, as it is, you still need to have the human eye to get composition.
To get composition. If you ain't got composition, you ain't got nothing.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, AI has its place. Mm-hmm. But see, this is something you got to consider, though. There are generations being born that know only digital. So why would they appreciate hand rendering if they've never been exposed to it? So it's only going to take maybe 20 years, which is the next generation, 20 years.
Yeah.
That 20 years from now, people who are born right now would be like Picasso, who? Rembrandt, what?
You got people that's born right now, going to be born, they don't even know who Martin and Malcolm is.
But think about this,
They're getting lost with tradition.
Think about this, though. Look at all the anguish, all the unrest, all of the human suffering that's been caused by traditionalism, though. There is no bigger driver of anguish and destruction in this planet than religion.
Traditional religion.
Religion is basically, when you start getting down to the core of things, the 90% of the violence in this world are prompted by religion, because everybody think we got the right one and everybody else is wrong. So therefore, we should be annihilating them because they won't convert to what we're thinking about. That's transcends culture, it transcends nationality, it transcends everything. Everybody thinks they got the right one.
Everybody think they got the right one, don't they?
And it's amazing to me that your right one is basically largely dependent on where you were born at. Nobody in Iran is thinking Jesus is the right one, because they were raised on their lie.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are in some parts of India are like, the right one is Hinduism. It's not Jesus. people who were raised in parts of China would say, you know, Confucius is our dude. So you go on and on and on, and the right one is based on your location.
On your location. It's just like you were saying, I remember reading somewhere, every culture, God looks like them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So Jurassic Park, the first one.
The first one.
When the girl goes, God creates man. Man creates religion. Religion destroys man. Woman rules the world. and I'm like, you know, that's a fictional movie, but listening to what she was saying, it was comical because I was like, that's kind of where we're heading to.
Yeah, yeah.
When you assume that your God created you, especially for whatever, and nobody else. So everybody else is wrong. You're the apple of your God's eye. But then everybody has their own God, though. So if you won't convert to my God, I should annihilate you.
Yeah.
Kill you in the name of love. Because according to the last time I checked, God is supposed to be love.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to kill you because you want to accept my love.
Yep, I'm gonna accept my religion. That's how people do, Dave.
That's maniacal.
It's the same thing as I remember watching the Dark Knight, and there's so much philosophy in it, man. I like the way they how they did that, and you know, sometime you know how the Harvey Dent became an evil person. Joker allowed him to become evil. Batman is unknown. He you know, Gotham needed a hero with a face. And we got the Dark Knight. Now with Harvey gonna be the light, you know, the light, the white light or whatever. And so then you got this, and then you got the Joker playing both sides. But anyway, to make a long story short, you know, when Harvey died at the end or whatever, and I think Batman and Commissioner Gordon was talking, they said, you know, we can't let them know that, you know, all those mob bosses and crime syndicates that Harvey helped put in prison could be released based off him becoming worse than him. They said, so we can't tell them that he did. Batman say, look, I'll just take the blame. I'll take the blame for it because they don't know his identity.
Well, you know why that's such a compelling story?
Why you think? I'm going to let you.
Because it's based on religion.
Based on religion.
If you think about it, according to the book of Isaiah, God created Satan.
Yeah.
So if he's so bad, why did God create him? If you look at that from that perspective, that if Satan is just wreaking all kind of havoc and destruction and chaos, if that's such a bad thing, why would God create him in the first place? That's what Satanists believe.
That's what
I spoke to people of a satanic culture, and they say, well, God created him. He can't be all that bad, because there was a need for him. If you didn't need him, God wouldn't have created him. So that's like they're saying without evil, you wouldn't know what good is.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what propels most of your most compelling stories.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Good versus evil. But everything has that yin and yang in life. You got up, down, you got right, wrong, you got yes and no.
That's
but
in the minds of religious people, though.
The yin and yang.
Because is it wrong for a lion to kill a zebra?
No.
Really?
I don't know.
According to our mindset, it is, because thou shalt not kill.
But nature, that's how, you know how you got the hoverwar, the animal chain. So when you study anthropology or whatever they be studying, that's natural. I mean, you know,
yeah, but if you rape my wife and I kill you, is that not natural also?
That's a natural instinct you're gonna have, but
so should I be held accountable for it?
I think Martin, you know what?
I'm just asking. I'm asking these hypothetical questions because I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but
if you steal my merchandise and I catch you in an act, can I kill you? According to the The Levitical law.
The Bible
I
says
can.
an eye. Yeah, the Bible says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and a life for a life. If we're looking at that,
I'm
but then
saying-
you're looking at man's laws. Men change laws all the time.
Okay, so then,
They softening things up. Here, this it with man's law.
so considering that according to man's law in this country, no more than 100 some odd years ago, slavery was legal.
And slavery was legal.
Now it's man's law.
Yeah, but
To this day, your capital gains tax is 10%.
10%.
If you go out and make $1 billion, you only got to pay 10% of that.
Yeah,
But what's my rate? 29%?
29%.
So why is mine so much higher than capital gains? Because rich people make the laws,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're making the laws to favor themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we got off into this politics and everything, but I mean, it kind of stems from because art is political. It's
Yep,
political.
There you go.
And if you don't think it is, you don't know what art is then.
Oh yeah.
Because most of your artistic masters down through the ages,
Mm-hmm.
most of their most commendable works were commissioned.
was commissioned.
Somebody told them, do this.
But you know, Martin, and when you're looking at and it's looking at the speaking of art being the politics, when you're looking at the Impressionist movement, that was a political movement.
Of course
back
it was.
Back in Monet, Mary Cassatt,
Matisse.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they stuff wasn't getting put in the saloons.
Yeah.
They had to draw and paint a certain way. The angels with
Yeah.
wings.
There
and
was
the
a-
babies with the angels.
A drawing that Matisse did that was considered so repugnant that it was said if a pregnant woman was to look at it, she would miscarry instantly.
Mm.
And people who drew that conclusion didn't know that Matisse was going blind.
Mm.
So his impressionism was based on his perception.
On this perception.
The dimmer his eyesight got, the brighter his colors got.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started getting even more blind, he began losing his lines.
Losing them lines.
So he started doing impressionism because he was going blind.
Mm-hmm.
How many folks know that?
They don't.
Oh, this is amazing. Look, well, how did he see that? He didn't see that. Fool was blind. He just painting strokes, not going from memory.
Yep, yep.
So
sure.
yeah, I mean, but most of the time, politics do drive art, though.
Mhm.
Because I had been told that you can't be putting your phallics
Mhm.
in so many of these paintings.
Mhm.
And I was like, we live in a phallic society, why can't I?
Yeah.
Whenever I do a sculpture or a drawing without phallics, first thing they say, where's his penis?
Mm.
Because it's supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your morality that's telling everybody it's bad, not the painting itself.
Not the painting itself. You did what is how it's supposed to be,
Exactly.
and they telling you it ain't supposed to be.
I mean, when I look at nature shows all the time,
Mm-hmm.
animals do not wear clothes.
Mm-mm.
Their genitalia is rarely available. And, not available, but apparent and visible.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of being at the zoo once, and we were observing the zebras. And I guess one of the mares came in the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this they might have been 4 or 5 years old, kid was behind us, and he goes, Mom, why is that zebra growing another leg? And it was so funny to me. I said,
Why
oh
the
my
zebra
goodness.
growing another leg?
Because his penis
Yeah,
was literally
that-
hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me see you explain that, Missy. I was like, wow, that was funny. That's nature, though.
That's nature.
And they've taken nature and given it moral equivalency,
Yeah.
good and bad.
Good and bad.
And so on that note, we're winding it down here. I just got a note from my producer about wrapping it up.
Okay.
So this is Martin Turner, and this is Eric Jones. We're at the Urban Renaissance Center, and this podcast is brought to you by the URC. And if you have anything you want to add to this, any kind of discussions, whatever, comments when it airs and so on, like, subscribe, comment to trigger the algorithm so it'll come to your page and you'll be notified whenever we do something like this again. So until then, I'm signing off.